Hey, I'm Casey Ocupe. This is Free Speech Northwest. And today we're talking about when you take that red pill instead of like the blue pill. It's when circumstances, the news, articles, you see between the lines, you see through the BS, and you say to yourself, I just don't believe that narrative anymore. I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to look at this other narrative that, in this instance, specifically, it would be conservative, or anyway, not left-leaning, and we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss these people who don't follow along with the liberal or leftist narrative. So get ready for that on Free Speech Northwest. Free Speech Northwest is brought to you by Adams Ribs Smokehouse, located at 1210 State Street, Salem, Oregon 97301. Hey, I'm Casey Ocupe, and this is Free Speech Northwest, and today we're going to talk about red-pilled stories. We're going to talk about why people are, liberal or Democrat, and then why they become conservative, Republicans, what happens, what kind of transformations take place. So let's all introduce ourselves from my left to right. So go ahead.
Eddy Corona.
All right. You know me, Casey Ocupe, and
I'm Brandi Sky Eagle.
All right. Let's begin. Okay.
Hey.
So there are two parties. There's Democrats and Republicans, and I don't know, why do you think that people are Democrats, and then those Democrats are I don't know, people who are liberal and different things, they look down on Republicans and say that they're racist, bigots, and all of those types of fun names that are super fun, but they're completely inaccurate. Why are people Democrat, for instance, Brandi?
Well, I think you'd have to ask a Democrat that.
I'd have to ask them. Were you at some point?
No. Well, I did vote for Bernie Sanders, but
Okay.
It was more out of peer pressure than anything, to be honest. And
Sure, that was during the primaries.
yes, that
Yeah.
was during the primaries.
Yeah, because Hillary cheated.
Yes.
So, so he couldn't go beyond that point. When you get questions in advance and all those types of things and cheat, well, you don't get to run for president. So in the primary, you voted for
Bernie.
Bernie, all right. Oh, why are people Democrats? I'm gonna ask you, Eddy.
I don't know. I am not a Democrat.
You're not a Democrat?
No. I think that it's more out of ignorance.
Out of ignorance?
I'm thinking. So I think that what happens, the reason why they hate Republicans, I'm neither one, by the way, but I think that they hate Republicans is the demonization process. You're in a group and you're so enclosed in your group that you demonize everybody else.
Interesting. So you want to feel like you belong in your group, and so you feel powerful and you get strength by saying, our group's awesome. That means these other groups must be evil, right? Is that what
That
you
would
think?
be collectivism versus
Yes.
individualism, yeah.
Collectivism?
Mm-hmm.
All right, collectivists. Okay, so let me see. Politicians trying to simply manipulate voters. Is that what's going on?
On some level, absolutely.
Okay.
Hasn't that always gone on?
Yes, absolutely. So these politicians, like the Democrat politicians, and then we have the Republican politicians, and when you look at the platforms, there's a lot more socialization in the liberal or Democrat platform. It's like we should have things like free universal health care. We should have more money for different situations. We should pay for other people's abortions. Like you and I should pay for a random person's abortion, or you should,
Right.
or whatever. And so, what do you think about that? Do you think that's...
I don't believe. I think people should be able to get an abortion if they need to have it, but the government should not pay for it at all.
Okay, because when we talk about manipulation, a lot of times I hear woman's health, like this is a woman's health issue, but with men health issues, who's paying for our condoms?
Exactly. Or look at anything. Put the word men rights after anything, and you'll get a whole lot of hate.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Oh heck yes, absolutely.
Well, let's say it now. Let's just men's rights, okay?
Yes.
Men's health. Buy our condoms. All of you, everyone out there, buy men's condoms for them, because we can't do it, right?
Right. We don't have the money for it. We spend it on drinking.
We spend it on other people's abortions.
There you go.
We're spending it on women's health for birth controls and abortions and all these things. That's what so we can't afford condoms. So you have to take birth control. How about that?
Right.
I think that's
They're
fair.
not gonna like that.
That
No.
wasn't misogynist at all.
Was that mean? Should I not have said that? I don't know.
Free speech, baby.
Yeah, free speech.
No,
Free
they'll just
speech,
end up hating
absolutist.
people like Casey J and people who support the men's rights movement. Now you tell me who's the misogynist.
Right.
Well, yeah, I like all these terms like women's health and has anyone ever even said men's health? I don't even know if that's a thing.
It is not. It will not
No.
be. It will be considered an androcentric.
You know, men can get breast cancer.
Yeah, but they don't care.
Yes.
Men commonly get testicular cancer.
Yeah, but there's no foundation that helps with that. And nor will they be.
Well, I think that men's health is important. I think. What do you think?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love men. I'm actually a men's right activist myself.
You are?
I am.
Are you a feminist?
No.
No. Oh,
No.
I'm not a feminist either. Are you a feminist?
Oh, you're looking at the wrong person. I'm not.
We've both watched the same Cassie J documentary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What did they express in this
It's,
Cassie J documentary?
It's called Red Pill.
Oh,
and
Red Pill.
It's about men's rights activists versus, what's going on in feminism nowadays.
I think there's a bunch of bigots at this table. That's what I think. No. So it's about men's rights, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's led by Paul Elam in Houston, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what So is there an attack on men's rights?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Huge attack on
Oh.
men's rights movement.
Yeah. Okay. What is something that, because are you passionate on this issue?
Somewhat. I am a little more concentrated on father rights, but yes, I also support men's rights.
Okay,
Not deeply
father's
involved, but
rights. What should we be concerned about or think about when it comes to father's rights?
Father rights. I mean, when you look at the cases when they go to court, what are more than 70% of the time the mother automatically gets the rights over the child, even if it's dangerous. But by default, they go by whomever is the primary caretaker.
Yeah.
It doesn't truly matter how much danger they represent to the child. There's been cases in which CPS has been involved, and the court system has totally dismissed that.
Well, let's say that a mother is spending, the day with the child and everything, and a husband or father is working like an 8-day job. They get up at 9 to 5, we'll say.
Right.
And then after 5, they usually see their kid and spend time with their kid and everything after 5 until it's time to go to bed, maybe till 8 or 9 or whatever, and they have family time at that point. So the primary care provider in that instance would be the mother.
The mother, yes.
By their definition.
Yes.
Because I think a father who's working is providing care, for
Right.
example. Same thing if it was reversed, you know what I mean? A mother who's working and a father who's at home, they're both providing care. They're both providing primary. There's not a primary, money over, taking care of the child. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
how are we using the word primary and then specifying this is primary?
The mother being with the child at home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if that's primary over being able to feed the child
Right.
from money that you earn.
We play with the language a little too much,
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly, yeah. But she will be more likely to get not exactly full custody, but probably most of the custody.
Yeah, I know what those custody things are like. It's basically every, Wednesday and every other weekend, right?
And get this, that's not the worst part. The worst part, it's like, let's say the mother was out cheating with a ton of guys, and the guy, the kid is not even his. She puts him on child support, and the whole deal goes on. Well, there's kind of an expiration date to that. I think that the guy,
18.
yeah,
Right?
the guy's got about 4 years to challenge or and request that, hey, that might not be my child.
Really?
I want a paternity test to ensure that's my child. If after the 4th year he does not request that, he's screwed. He basically has to pay the bill, even if he can prove to the system that it's not really his child.
Wow.
It's kind of like an statutory. What is the word I'm looking for? A statute of limitation. So
Yeah.
after the child turns 4, it's too late. He's gonna be stuck with paying for somebody else's child, even if he can prove. Because you can buy you can purchase a paternity test for like $100 or
Right.
even less probably online. Even if you can prove and say, hey, I took it upon myself to buy a paternity test. It's not my child. I want to be removed from child support, and I want my name off the birth certificate. Can do it.
All right. Well, I hope
If
I
his
hope
name-
you're paying attention. You know, guys who are told they're the father who are actually not. I hope you're paying attention to Eddie right now, because there's a 4-year statute of limitations on that.
Yes,
Huh?
on the majority of the states. I don't know the law for everywhere, but for the majority of the states it is. And get this, it gets worse. There are some states that accept what is it called when somebody lives with you. It's got a different name.
Common law.
Common
Oh,
law,
yeah.
yes. Some common law. Some states that actually take a little farther on the common law. Let's say that the woman had another child, right? That wasn't his. But if the guy takes that child under his wing for an X amount of years, I don't know the exact amount of years, and then they separate, she can put him on child support for that child that wasn't his to begin with, because he brought him into his home and took him as his own child.
Wow.
So he can potentially be paying child support for a child that they know wasn't his since the beginning.
And in addition to that, he's probably not going to get 50% custody either.
No.
No.
You know, even if he's, I care about this child, he's still not going to get fit. Like, most guys don't. They really don't. That's the truth. We're tired of initial parenting,
Right.
Exactly.
Are we tired of
Right.
initial?
We are.
Yes.
What
tired of
happens in
bullshit.
such case, I think, is that if he's even interested in visiting this child that he knows is not his, they'll probably have him do supervised visitation,
Yeah.
because they'll say, well, he knows he's not the father, but why does he still want to visit him? And
Wow.
it's more safe for the child to have supervised visitation. So he'd be stuck with child support, and let's say for some reason he's got some type of bond with his child, he'll have to pay for supervised visitation.
Oh, man,
I
I
know,
gotta take a deep breath.
It's insane, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can
That's terrible.
balance it a little bit. I have
Sure.
a female friend who she is the child support payer, and she is the one who sees the children on the weekends, and so it does go both ways sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yes,
Yeah.
and
No,
she
but-
proudly pays her child support, and she's very proud of being in
Yeah.
in a minority. I
it
would
can
say,
go-
like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a
How
minority.
does that happen? Like, what? I don't know. I just.
Very low
Life
percentages,
situations,
very low
life
percentages, yeah.
situations. It really is a case by case situation. We get in a lot of trouble when we lump everything together.
That's true. We're individuals, right?
But I mean,
Yes.
if you
Probably
look
not.
at the whole idea in itself is extremely gynocentric. What ends up happening is, like, come on, think about it. From the moment the guy proposes to the woman,
Mhm.
and I mean, I love women. I'm misogynist by any means, but
I might
he
be.
gets
I
on his
am.
knee to give her the ring.
Oh yeah.
Right.
What message is he really sending there by getting on his knee? I'm willing to be in my knees for the rest of my life. And then the stupid term, happy wife, happy home. Why can't it all be happy couple, happy home? Why does it always have to revolve around her? Or the guy, if he pisses her off, he's going to be sleeping on the couch.
Now, are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Not at the moment. I did
Single?
not.
He's single.
I did not too long ago, but she hit the curve.
Oh
And I'm
well.
glad she did.
Then I think you know why they say happy wife, happy life.
Exactly, because I wasn't going to cave into her happiness. I said, it's our happiness or nobody's.
There you go.
Yeah, she knew where the door was.
Right.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's a complex issue, that one.
Oh,
All right.
Let's try
So-
to dig out now.
Let's go back to what we're actually supposed to talk about. We get totally off track, completely off track. Red pill stories. All right. So at some point, were you like liberal or Democrat at some point in your life?
Not really. I mean,
really?
I was about probably 10 or 11 when I figured out that it was bullshit. So
Okay.
I never really followed it.
Now, are there people that think that you should be?
Most of my family.
Most of your family?
I never came into their stuff either.
Did they tell you to
Yeah, you
vote
should
for?
definitely do. I'm like, they
Hillary or
say
something?
you should look at this. Yes, I said no, I'm not interested. I don't believe them for 1 second. So
Yeah. What kind of thing are they telling you should look into? Some social justice stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
mostly social justice stuff and how George Bush was so evil and whatnot. I mean, the guy did have his power trips, but I mean, everybody who's got presidential power is gonna have that.
I like to
That's
think
kind of-
we're all a little bit evil.
Yeah, there's evil in everybody. I mean, really, every man out there that you put out in the field will go out and try to survive under the most extreme circumstances. But give a man power, and you will really know where his heart is at.
Right.
Wow.
That was good. Yeah.
Got some depth on the show right now. Nice. We don't always have that. All right. Cool. Okay. Now, like I asked him.
Yeah. So my friend Chad used to come around a lot, and he would complain about feminists
Okay.
and how like he was a bad guy now in the world. And my other friend Jason would come and talk about social justice warriors and how the world's gone crazy.
Yeah.
After a few months of it, I was like, "What? I can't. I got to know what you're actually talking about."
Initially, were you like, you bigots?
No.
You no.
No,
Okay.
I'm just a grumpy old man too. So
Oh,
I
you're
was just,
grumpy
you know.
old man. All right. So they said, and they caused you. You're like, what are
It
they
caused
talking
me to
about?
research it. Yeah, it made me go to YouTube, good old YouTube, which ended causing me to research Marxism and all this other stuff academically, because I was like, what is this actually about? And
So what's
you know,
it about? Tell us about Marxism.
what about Marxism? It's infiltrated every aspect of American culture at this point.
That's horrifying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Marxists. How would you describe Marxism or a Marxist? You know.
Well, I think what's most troubling is that most people don't realize that what they're saying and doing is from Marxism.
Yeah.
They're just driven, mainly they're the Democrats, the left. They're good people with good hearts, and they just want to make the world better, but you know, they kind of expect
Kind of a manipulation.
the
in
well,
there.
they kind of expect this existential, invisible government to do that. Like that's
Yeah.
you know, some representation of that's going to make it happen, instead of each one of us making it happen in our lives and communities.
How's it working out for them?
Right?
So you're saying when our government like gets involved, let's say, for example, with some other country that's having some sort of I don't know, evil government entity in their government, so we need to get involved, take that person out of power, then somebody else comes into power. That doesn't always work out very well. You know what I've heard is that if we don't try to solve all the world's problems, the world gets a little bit stronger and they earn those resolutions and they become a little bit, I don't know, what do you think about that?
I'm not certain what's going on. I'm not sure about that. I read a book one time called what was it called? The Economic Hitman, and he talked a lot about how it was convenient for the United States to get other countries in debt with the country, so that they could have control over its resources, and that's how you keep them away from becoming independent.
I could see us doing that. I also see the United States being owned by like China right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, and yeah, what I actually heard, I heard that the Queen of England actually owns a lot of like dock property, like boat loading property and things like that. So she's making tons of money off the United States, and so China, blah blah blah. You know, we have this huge deficit. Let's go back to the red pill stories. How do your friends on social media or former friends on social media react when they hear some of your perspectives on
I get
politics?
told no a lot.
You just get told no?
Just dismissive. Anytime I try to present, you know, what I found, it's dismissed as alt-right and just no.
So you called all right?
Apparently I'm been labeled alt-right now.
You're labeled alt-right?
No, but I'm not, because I'm not a white nationalist.
How are they How are they defining alt-right?
I'm not really sure because I've asked a few and they can't really define it. And when I give them the academic definition, which is a white nationalist who believes in a white ethno-state.
Okay.
That's a very small group of people
Yeah.
in probably the whole world, and as a matter of fact, but
Yeah.
somehow everybody on the right now is that.
Yeah, I heard, you know, the, what's that group? Southern Poverty Law Center or something like that. So there were like maybe 6,000 or something, you know, it's some really small amount of racists.
Yeah, I think there
or
were
Nazis
at
or
the
something.
Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. I just researched this. There were 600 people that
Okay.
attended, and the Tiki Torch rally there were less than 100 people involved in the Tiki Torch. The whites, you know, whatever all that was about. There were less than 100 people. So we're not talking about giant populations that, you know, I'm not saying it shouldn't be taken seriously by
Sure.
any means, but it's such a small it's just being blown out of proportion, to be
So
honest,
if we
in my
say
opinion.
the United States is racist,
I do not agree with that.
don't agree. What do you think?
I don't think so. Maybe in small regions, but I've traveled through major cities in the United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I've never experienced racism.
You never experienced racism.
I have not. Maybe I'm a unique case because I dated a girl who's black, and she told me that she has experienced it, but every time I went out with her, I never noticed it. It's
Do
kind
you
of
think
curious.
there might be some occasional misinterpretations, or not that it doesn't happen? I know racism happens. I know
Yeah,
it
I'm
exists.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it
Yeah.
does. I've just never experienced it.
Yeah.
And I try to figure it out. One of my friends who travels a lot, I ask him as well, you know, this is where I stand, and I've never experienced it. And I told him all the cities I've visited. And he's like, oh, they're pretty well developed and diverse. That's why. You haven't been to the South or some places that actually have some racism still alive.
I'm from the South.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
How is-
I grew up in Houston,
That explains
Texas.
a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
right. Yeah.
kidding.
No, you're right. That the older I get, you're right.
Sure.
But I grew up in a place called Spring Branch in Houston, Texas, and all my neighbors were everything: Cambodian, Vietnamese, Mexican, like everything.
Yeah.
I've been to
So-
Austin, and
I didn't realize that racism existed at all until I moved away from Houston, Texas, and moved to Memphis, Tennessee, where the dividing line between black and white is very severe. I was like, oh, that's what y'all are talking about.
those are probably the
Wow.
small regions I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not wide across the United States. I
No.
don't think. No.
Especially not in the Northwest. I mean, we think maybe there's 5 racists in Oregon. I don't know.
That's why I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the percentage of population is very small.
What do they do? Stay at home?
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably smart these days.
Yeah, they're not making a lot of friends. I mean, what political party associates or affiliates themselves with like racists or alt-right or Nazis or something? Like, which political party is like, yeah, they're with us? Can you think of one?
I
don't
have
know.
not
I don't
seen
think they've
one.
ever said it, but historically, Democratic Party.
All
If you look at history, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
you know what? We'll be nice and not look at history for the sake of this episode.
Then if that's the question, then I don't know. That's the modern version.
No,
of
I
the
mean,
answer.
when we talk about that, though, I'm noticing a lot of liberal and Democrat, like let's say Obama, for example, talking about the problems with the United States, all the racism and all the hate and how we need to be better and everything, and when it comes to issues such as racism. But then there's also, like, you know, we hear about all the racism from, like, the problem with the United States is the straight white male. They're just ruining everything. What do you think?
I don't think that's true.
Oh, you don't think that's true?
Yeah, I don't think that's really how it works. There are so many people from other nationalities who run powerful, strong businesses.
What nationality are you?
Me, I am South American.
South American?
Yeah, I was born in Houston, Texas, but I.
Hello, fellow Houstonian.
Are the straight white males go over?
don't think
Let's get
so.
real.
I know a
Let's
lot
get
of.
real. Are they doing it?
I know a lot of Mexicans, Colombians, and people from other Latin America who have strong businesses here, who have good businesses making money. and I don't see any of the so-called white power taking down their businesses or doing anything to screw them over.
Well, that can't be true. That's got to be impossible.
I mean, what?
You're not talking about straight white men. You're screwing with the narrative.
That's
Shame
what
on
we're
you.
here for,
Extremely
right?
manipulated, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
Actually-
listen to him. Don't listen to him. He's saying that people other than straight white males are successful in our society. So, that
Well,
can't
do
be
you
right.
understand what they mean when you say straight white male?
Christians too.
Well, absolutely.
Sorry, I forgot the Christians. They're
Right, yeah, don't forget the
huge,
Christians.
yeah.
When they say smash the patriarchy,
Uh-huh.
or when they discuss white supremacy, the academic exercise that this actually is that's going on is that is all Western culture. And
Okay.
they want to destroy Western culture, but they call it the patriarchy or white,
Oh.
you know. If they called him a white supremacist, and everybody would be like, what? Because he enjoys Western culture and he wants to keep Western culture going. So
Yeah.
therefore, by the academic end of this, you are inherently a white supremacist. So that's where when that happens,
I would
that's what's
definitely
going
laugh
on.
at them.
Right?
There are
Exactly.
people, I know there
Yeah.
are people that would call you a white supremacist.
Yes, but
I
that's the
know there
academic
are.
reason why.
They're out
yeah.
there. I
Oh, goodness.
guarantee it.
They need to check their mental health if that's the case.
I think I've been
Exactly.
called a racist or a white supremacist, something like that. I don't know. I think I treat you like a human being.
Absolutely, so far.
So far. Give us
The
time.
day is young.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anyway. Yeah, I've been called names like that. It's ridiculous. Have you been called anything like?
I've been called
I mean, you
racist.
said alt-right.
Yeah, alt-right
racist.
racist, to which I laughed and said I'd actually have to be racist to be racist.
You know, I hear a lot about how this is the thing. Like, I hear someone will say, "I'm not racist. I've dated a black girl," or "I'm not racist. I have Mexican friends," or blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Oh, that's exactly what a racist would say."
Yes.
No, they wouldn't. They go, "Yuck." They go, "Mexicans, gross. Black people, ew." That's what they would say if they were racist.
Right.
They don't say, "These are my friends. We get beer. I like," you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's a lie. That's a lie that we're told all the time.
Yes. Absolutely.
I hate it when they do that. So, let me see. When your friends found out, when your family found out that you aren't like a liberal Democrat and everything, what do they feel about that? I mean, what do they say to you? They say, "Watch this, look at this." But when you say, "Hey, that person that you're supporting, they're not cool," what do they how do you argue that?
They just shut me down. They don't want to talk about it.
Do they just
The truth is, it's quite powerful. I think it makes people very uncomfortable. The truth
Okay.
stands on its own. It doesn't really need a whole lot to carry weight. So
Okay.
they rather avoid the subject because they know.
When we're talking about the truth, how do you know that not being like all out Democrat and liberal and all these things, fighting for all the injustices in society, how do you know that you're right in not supporting not injustices, perceived injustices, called out stuff that's just like ridiculous? It's all singling people out, isn't it? Isn't it? What'd you
I
say?
don't really think so. I think basically what it is about, because I don't focus a whole lot on politics, because I know the government is not going to do shit for us. So I
Alright.
focus more on informing people about what to look for when they meet somebody, not to jump into a relationship immediately. There's a book called The Tactical Guide to Woman. It's such a great book. It talks about
Tactical.
yeah.
Wow.
That's what it's come down to, because let's say I have a story in regards to that. It comes from another book actually, and that book is called The Black Book of Violence. But it talks about a gentleman who met a girl who was personality disordered. He happened to have a child with her,
Mhm.
moved her to his apartment. She was extremely abusive, so he got in an argument with her. She kicked the wall, made a hole. He went to talk to the apartment manager and to tell him about the altercation to protect himself. Well, he went out to do that. She called the police on him. He got arrested. He got blamed for the hole, he got charged with domestic violence. He had to surrender his gun permit. He ended up spending the weekend in jail. He got what is known as the Friday night deal. Basically means that you go to jail at night on Friday,
Sure.
and the clerical you don't have
They
an
went
attorney.
home.
The clerical system, the clerical people went home. So you gotta wait until Monday. So he went to work late on Monday, and got himself an attorney, but his attorney didn't do a whole lot for him. He got convicted of the charge. His work ended up, his job and his company shut down. So now he had actually it was just a misdemeanor, but it was still domestic violence. So he was struggling to pay the bills, getting himself
Yeah.
a place, and on top of it, he was on child support. So I mean, not knowing what you're getting yourself into, the signs are always there. There are always red flags, but if you don't know what to look for, it's nearly impossible. Actually, the woman who got me into the red pill,
Yeah.
she had borderline personality disorder. I did not know that at the time until I got more into the red pill stuff, and I called her out for it. She tried to deny it. I saw through all her manipulation and in the things, but she actually tried to pull me in by wanting to have a child with me, and I said nope, we are not ready for a child. But it was all these horrible tactics that can have disastrous consequences for people.
Well, it's good that you read that tactical. What's it called?
The Tactical Guide to Woman.
The Tactical Guide to Women. Wow.
And another good one is Say Goodbye to Crazy. That's an amazing book for somebody who already screwed up and has a child with somebody who's crazy.
On that topic, we should probably call this episode a wrap. But Brandi, did you have any other thoughts before we completely wrap up on the
Well, I know
red
we
pill?
made this really awkward for you because red pill means so many different things.
That's true.
But,
Watch The Matrix.
yeah, or watch the red pill documentary that he's coming from with his red pill.
Yeah,
perspective.
watch the Red Pill documentary. It sounds pretty good.
And The Matrix. It'll
And
show
the
you.
Matrix.
It'll show you.
And the Matrix. We're living in the Matrix, sort of. That's a metaphor for our society, I think, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
movie The Matrix is more of a documentary disguised as a movie for entertainment.
Okay. So yeah, take a look. Try to read between the metaphors. And that's it. Thanks for joining Free Speech Northwest. Free Speech Northwest is brought to you by Adams Ribs Smokehouse, located at 1210 State Street, Salem, Oregon 97301.